my coins and future millionaires of America. According to Trump, our president, America added 1.8 million jobs in the month of July. Now, contrary to the statement, CNN reported that in the month of July, 1.2 Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits. So I'm not really sure which person is the fake news, but you know what? We gotta live with our lives. So in today's video, we're gonna learn how to write our own stimulus checks because clearly Congress is incompetent of doing their job. Now, I wanna shout out my boy below for inspiring me to make this video on how to write your own stimulus checks and getting into the 4 different ways that you can make money. That way we can fast track to building wealth and living life on your terms. Now, if you're new to our channel, we help millennials build wealth so they can live life on their terms. If you like making money, then definitely hit the like button below and share with your friends because you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, so why not all be rich? Okay, so I'm gonna get into the 4 different ways that you can make money, and the way that I've looked at these 4 different ways are 4 different quadrants for cash flow. I learned this technique when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. You can click on the link below to click the link over to Amazon and get this book today. This is not sponsored, but basically he describes that there are 4 different quadrants for cash flow to come into your life. The 4 different ones are E, S, B, and I. Now I'm gonna get into all 4 of these and which one you most likely are in right now and what qualities you can look for if you want to level up and move to the next quadrant. These quadrants are really important in understanding where your current financial situation is and where you have the potential to get to so you can level up in building wealth and living life on your terms, being able to travel whenever you want, hang out with your family as much as you want, and not be in the mundane rat race. So if that's something that interests you, then definitely stay until the end of this video and definitely share it with your friends. So the first quadrant that most people are in is the E quadrant. So the E quadrant means employee. So an employee is anyone that works for someone else. An example of this could be a salesperson, an accountant, or someone that is an engineer that works at Google, for instance. So I'm gonna go over all the different ways that I've been an employee. My first job that I ever had, I was 15 years old and I worked at the cash register of this coffee shop called Java Kai in my hometown. I originally got the job because I wanted to save up enough money to buy a car for my 16th birthday. Because my parents were like, we're not getting you a car for your 16th birthday, and everyone else around me grew up with very privileged backgrounds. I didn't want to be like the weird person out. So when I was 15 and a half, that was the legal time that I could actually get a working job. So I think I was making like $7 or something hourly, like minimum wage. And that's what I did. I worked 40 hours, definitely wasn't legal, but that's what I did. Then after that, I went to college, and after college, I got my full-time 9-to-5 job in sales, where I worked at a big tech company and basically sold advertising to small business owners. This was a job that I started at where I was working a salary, and then on top of that, I could make commission and bonus with my structure. Each of these jobs are great because if you are just starting out and you don't have money, you need to some way build up capital. So working a 40-hour work week job, there's nothing wrong with that unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth or Elon Musk gave you like a ton of funding. I don't really see how you would have a bunch of money to start out with. And I also think having these jobs is a humbling experience, and it also grounds you and you're able to learn the building blocks on how to be successful. When I was working my 9-to-5 job, I learned the basics on sales. I learned how to work with teams. I learned how to manage people. And it also gave me that foundation to build a secure financial ground under me if I ever wanted to like go somewhere else. Now, employees are great if they do a great job with just following orders, just implementing system and processes that are from the top down. These people work really hard. And the thing with here is that you're exchanging exchanging your time for money. So you have to go to work in order to collect that paycheck, which is the downside. Now, this is the next quadrant. The next quadrant is what a lot of people, and I actually felt this way, was like, I've made it, I'm a boss, like look at me. And that is the S quadrant. So the S quadrant, according to Robert, is basically self-employed. And when you're self-employed, you could be, for instance, a dentist that has their own practice, or you could be your own CPA, you're an accountant, but you have your own accounting firm. Or what I was doing after my 9 to 5 is I was doing consulting, aka coaching, for startups to help them build a sales process. Now, I thought I was my own business owner because I was like, ooh, I have my own business, so cool, like I've been incorporated, like LLC, whatever. I realized after I was in that role that I was still trading time for money. So when you're in coaching or consulting, whatever you want to call it, you are billed by the hour for how much you work for that client. So I had to still exchange time for money. I couldn't just like jet off and do whatever I want. I had to actually put in the time to prepare for my project so I could get results for my client. And that's the same way when, let's say, you own a bakery, you're the business owner, or you're the head dentist that owns a practice, you still have to put your time there. And a lot of the times, self-employed people do this because they don't like being told what to do. They are very hardworking, they're very smart, and they can just figure it out. So they get really great results for people, but they also have law that they don't trust other people to do the job, which I totally am such a micromanager. So the problem with this is like, you want to do everything, and because you want to do everything, you don't have time for yourself, and you're still trading time for money. You're making money only by the time that you put in. So a lot of self-employed people will actually go out of business, or they'll burn out, and then they'll take a sabbatical or like a mini break, and then they'll restart again. And that cycle goes on and on and on until they're just like super burnt out and maybe have like a midlife crisis, something like that. So that's the self-employed route. Now, each of these first two quadrants, there's nothing wrong with them. Keep in mind, everyone has a quadrant that is good for them and is meant for them to do well in. Now, if you want to build your wealth, you need to stop trading time for money. So the next two quadrants that I'm going to talk to are ways that you can stop trading your time for money and still build on the residuals. So the next quadrant is going to be the B quadrant. So B quadrant will stand for business owner. So a business owner could be you own a business, but maybe you're just on the board of directors. So business owners are great at building people up. They already have a system and a process that they've already created. They know that this works, and they're able to hire talent to fill into that role to make sure that the business keeps going when they're not even there. So oftentimes you probably worked with businesses and you ask them, hey, where's the business owner? And they're like, oh, he's like, or she's never here. That's because that business owner is great at their job, and they've already hired the right people, they've created the right systems and processes, and they're managing the finances of the company well to know that it's going to keep going when they're not there. So business owners can spend more time like hanging out in Europe or like hanging out with their family. They don't always have to be in the trenches or on the front lines of the business because they know that the people that they hired can get them results without being there. So a great example of this is when I was in my tech job, I ended up moving into a leadership role where I was a sales manager. And at first, I was acting like the employee. I didn't trust what my people were doing, so I would try to do the job for them. And then that slowly moved into the S quadrant, where I was like the self-employed person, where I was still letting them do what they were doing, but I also wanted to be super involved in micromanaging. And so I didn't feel like I could ever take time off or even go to the doctor if I had a doctor's appointment. Then my manager sat me down and she was like, Joy, you're acting like a rep when you need to be acting like a leader. And you need to create systems and processes that are going to work. You need to train and lead and inspire your people. So when you're not here, like say you take a sick day, then everything's not going to blow up in your face. So eventually over that, after like coaching everyone and creating these systems and processes, I actually took like a 2-week trip to Southeast Asia, and I was literally like shitting my pants. I was like, oh my God, the team is going to like crumble. I'm going to lose my job. This is going to be awful. The opposite exactly happened. I gave all my trust to my people. I create systems and roles for everyone in. We had our processes set up. We actually hit our goal like my first week that I was gone, which was like insane. And when I came back from my trip, like all we we had to do was like celebrate our last month together because I was moving and basically go overproduce what we originally wanted to do. So even though I don't have experience like being the business owner of a large enterprise, I would say my role with an employee and S helps set me up for that in the long term. Now, the last quadrant, which a lot of people inspire to be in, is I, which is investor. So basically an investor can be anyone that either invests in stocks, real estate, they have a patent, or maybe they have some way that produces passive income. So what you could think about it is like, let's say you have a really large stock portfolio that creates dividends for you, then every quarter you're just getting paid off those dividends. Or if you have an investment property where your profits exceed your costs, then you're making money off of that real estate investment and you're not losing out. You can also become an investor by having patents or investing in companies where you're not actually having to run the company. So my brother always explains this like in some way, like let's say you want to own Microsoft, but you don't actually want to run the company. You want Bill Gates to keep doing his thing. Then you could actually buy a share of Microsoft, which if you're interested about stocks, I did a video on which stocks I would marry and kill, so definitely check out that video. I'll put the card over here. But yeah, what you can do is instead of like owning the entire company and having a lot of risks and have to get involved with all of that, you just invest in it. So if you watch Shark Tank, a lot of the sharks will actually invest in a bunch of these companies and they coach them in a certain way, but they're not actually involved in having to do all the hard work and stuff. So being an investor and a business owner is great because you don't have to trade your time for money. You can just set up the system and processes, invest in XYZ, and then reinvest in it. So my question to you is, after hearing out all the 4 quadrants, comment below, my coins, which quadrant do you feel like you're currently in right now? And be super honest, because I would say I'm still in the S quadrant. And which quadrant you realistically think you could move into within the next 6 months and then with the next year. And I would love to hear where everyone is below and how we can grow together. So definitely comment below. Thank you so much for watching this, and give this video a like if you like this type of content so I know to keep creating similar content like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, my coins. Stay wealthy.